All right. So welcome to Joe Talks Biz. This is the first episode of my new show on Instagram, and I am so excited. It's been in the works, and I'm finally going to. I'm launching it today, and I have a very special guest who I'm going to tell you about. So Joe Talks Biz is really birthed from the fact that I really love to celebrate people. I love to showcase what persons are doing, and I love to ensure I'm very passionate about persons being well, living well, and doing well. And so that's what Journeying with Joe is all about. Journeying with Joe is about us learning together, growing together, becoming persons that can influence the world, impact the world, to become a God-fearing society. This is Jamaica in particular, loving and prosperous. And this particular show, Joe Talks Biz, is really, as I said, about showcasing businesses and other initiatives, right? And asking specific questions of these persons who are in businesses so that we can advance in our professional careers as well as entrepreneurs. Right? And so my desire is that we all reach to a place of financial well-being where we are earning and we can take care of our families. My firm belief is that God is calling all of us to do amazing things, and this part is also important to him and us too. So I have a very special guest today. Her name is Penny Carballo-Smith, and she is hailing from the UK. Yeah. And she will be with us today. So I'm just going to introduce her and then add her. So Penny Carballo, she's a lawyer. She's an angel investor. She's a social entrepreneur, and she's the executive director of the UK-based social enterprise Future Think, and you're going to hear a little bit more about it, and it's an awesome organization, so I can't wait for you to hear more about it. She is the co-founder of Caribbean STEM Coaching Club and the curator of the Future Think and Upskilling and Reskilling Toolkit. Yeah. So you're going to hear more about it, and I'm going to add her now. So just give me a moment, please. She's coming on. All right, give me a moment. Yes. Waited for her to come on.
Hello, hi.
Hello, Penny. How are you?
I'm really good. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I know, so am I. I am so happy to have you. So happy to have you starting the show. I think there couldn't be a better fit to really set the tone for the show and where we are going. Because of course, this is about professional advancement. It's about entrepreneurship. It's about increasing our internal earning potential. It's about positioning ourselves in the wider global markets. It's about being able to live well. And I believe, we deal with our mental and emotional health. We deal with other areas, but this is a very important area for us all. And so I just want to welcome you and ask you first, just to tell us a little bit about your journey. How have you, what's your journey towards your current career and position?
Well, as you know, Joanna, I grew up in Trinidad, and I came to the UK to do my master's, worked with KPMG London for around 10 years in mergers and acquisitions, international tax, financial services. And after that, I was drawn to the world of education for one big reason. I saw that the world was changing very rapidly to the digital world. And I saw that elite societies were being very well prepared for this world, but other communities weren't. And our education system was not preparing us for, for a world where we live, work, and play very differently. So I was determined to get involved in the whole equipping of communities for the digital world and for the fantastic new opportunities that are emerging out there.
And I'm sure you could have never guessed that we would have been in this position right now, where it would become even more critical for us to be able to know and understand what you have now given your life to.
Well, Joanne, it is so weird because the kind of changes we expected to come in, say, 2025, 2026 came with this pandemic. It was so weird. And Future Think was set up 10 years ago. And I almost feel as if it was set up for this purpose, but I didn't know.
No, oh gosh. I can just imagine. Okay, well, I was just about to ask you how long you've been it has been in operation. So, as we've been talking about the pandemic, I mean, it's been such a difficult time for so many persons, for so many of us. Some of us have lost our jobs, some of us have lost income. And of course, I'm from Jamaica. I'm in a Jamaican context and a larger Caribbean context. And sometimes it can be very difficult to figure out, how do I break out of this Jamaican market? And if I don't have a job, what do I do? Sometimes, because of course there is an economic situation that we have here, and persons are searching, but sometimes there are so many options on the internet around the place, and you just don't know what to do. For somebody who has lost their job, where can they start?
That's a good question, Joe. And the first thing I would say, look at this as an opportunity, because it really is. And the second thing I would say is, do not try to do this by yourself. I wouldn't say it's impossible. I would say it is very difficult. Okay. These are times for collaboration, not competition. When you have groups of people and you get together with like-minded people to learn and problem solve and find your ways together in such a complex marketplace, when we are awash and overwhelmed with information. Yeah. If we help each other, right, and you get together with groups of people, you will make better decisions and you will progress much faster. So this is a time for networking, collaboration, people helping people. And then what I would say also, don't panic, don't rush. What has happened is, because the world has changed so very quickly and continues to change very quickly, skills become obsolete very quickly. Okay, so technical skills you learn become obsolete very quickly. There are certain foundational skills and capacity that we must get under our belt, because by getting those, you'll be equipped not just for the next job or the next couple of years, but for the rest of your life. And this is a time to take a step back. Don't rush. Take a step back and build your human capital. Your self-confidence through what we call the growth mindset, which is the sort of mindset you really need for this economy. You learn how to learn fast and effectively. There's been wonderful research out there now that we know how to learn really fast, so that we can keep pace with what's going on. You kind of identify you kind of manage your mental and emotional health, because that's really critical. Yeah. And the really interesting things is that although that there are a lot of skill shortages out there, what in all industries are saying is that there are a set of human skills that are the most important things, because these human skills will are really what allow you to flourish in the world of today, but also reinvent yourself as you go ahead. It's things like leadership, creativity, innovation, problem solving, critical thinking, those sort of things. So this is a time to take a step back and build your human capital. And this is a time to become sort of self-aware. Do you know what I mean? Do assessments, self-reflection and assessments. And there's some really great tools out there that help you to do that. And they're free, So I wouldn't rattle on too much, but that's what I would say.
Well, those are very... Go ahead.
And just be aware that there's a wealth of opportunity, but you have to have a strategic and structured way about how you go about accessing those opportunities. And this sort of period of reflection would help you to do that.
And I really like what you've said. So what you've essentially said is, before we start this journey of finding new opportunities, it's really to pause a moment and ensure that we have the right mindset. We need to have a growth mindset. We need to recognize that even though we've lost our job, we've lost various economic opportunities, that this right now is still an opportunity to reposition ourselves within the global market by determining and understanding the different skill sets that are needed and being able to position ourselves to fill it. as well as learning to become more self-aware, understanding what we already possess, what we've already gained, so that we can use it in the larger global market. But if there was one thing that you would tell, so apart from the mindset, changing our mindsets and towards a growth mindset, becoming more self-aware, what's one thing somebody could do to find what would be best for them in this global space?
Well, they have to have a structured approach to get high quality labor market information. And the good thing about it is, or job information, the good thing about it is, because of advances in technology, we have wonderful sources of information right now. We have the World Economic Forum Future of Job Report. That's out there. We have the leaders in labor market or job market information, which is Burning Glass and MC. They have wonderful information about the top jobs in demand, the top skills in demand. And this includes, when we say jobs, we're not just talking about employment, we're talking about work. So it could be freelancers, it could be contractors, as well as employees.
Right.
And interestingly enough, probably the richest source of jobs information about what the opportunities are out there is actually LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has over 700 million users, as well as 55 million or more companies. So their data sets are actually really rich, and you get the most granular insights into what the skills in demand are and which companies are looking, which are the top companies, exactly what skills are they looking for. So there's a lot of information out there that could give us a pretty comprehensive idea of what's out there and allow us to explore effectively. Here in the UK, we also have our UK National Careers Advisory Service, which actually is free for anybody to use. As far as I understand, in Jamaica, you could access it as well.
Oh, really?
And they also have ways of, you can explore what the various options are on there as well. So there's so much information. Microsoft also has very good information about what the top skills in demand are. And they actually are allowing people to upskill in those areas for free until December 31st, this year. Then they might charge. But so there's a wealth of information out there. There's too much. That's the issue. And we need to drill it out,
Yes, but you've given us some good resources, I think, that we can start with. But you've mentioned a structured approach. If we wanted a structured approach, I know, for example, people do career choice, career coaches and coaches to help them with the structured approach. Do you have any other suggestions about how to develop a structured approach, perhaps maybe on your own or within a group, or is that something that Future Think does that we can speak about a little later?
Again, I would emphasize that you don't do this on your own. That you do it in a group. That's my first point, and I can't emphasize that enough. Secondly, there are two sources that I think are really good for this. One is Future Learn, which is, I think, one of the leaders in micro credentials, and so they have a free tool online called Career Mapper that allows you to take a very structured approach, step-by-step approach, so you can make good decisions as you're exploring all the things out there. You're taking into account not simply the skills you want to learn, but it takes account your lifestyle issues, any challenges you have, so that you choose something that's appropriate and fit for purpose given your own circumstances. So I find that tool really good. And there's also a course by Coursera on career mapping, which I think is free also. It's in the Future Think Upskilling and Reskilling Toolkit, both of them, and free for anybody to use.
Okay, well, that's awesome, and sounds like some really good tools that we can access for free. So in terms of, I know we've spoken about a number of opportunities that are there, but could you mention a few specifically? There
are so many. If if you want to do things online, right, which I think that's what people are really interested in. One of the points I wanted to make actually is that there are a lot of Caribbean people already doing quite a lot online. And I know that Future Think and people in our network, we already get quite a few services out of the Caribbean online. And I wanted to mention a few of them. I took a few notes here somewhere. Yes, we get graphic design, we get math specialist tutors, a lot of teaching, art tuition, music tuition. We get natural hair consultations. We have quite a few things. I made a note here of all the things because it's important that you know website design and maintenance. We do that from the Caribbean. Research assistance we get from the Caribbean. Psychotherapy we get from the Caribbean. And we know that there are a lot of Caribbean people who are teaching Chinese and English to Chinese and Japanese children. That's quite common. We know that there's a lot of software testing. I don't know how much is being done from Jamaica, but a lot is being done from Trinidad. A lot of it, especially for Facebook, you know. So there's already quite a lot being done online. And apart from that, we know that, let me just get my notes here. We know that when we look, because quite a lot of research has been done, and when we actually trawl through the research, we could see that quite a lot of the skills in demand right now can be done online. The most common ones right now are IT skills, as you can imagine, human resources, legal secretaries, personal assistants. All these things can be done online. And what's really interesting as well, and I think it's really important for Jamaicans to know, in the UK, they expect to have a shortfall of 4 million highly skilled jobs by 2024, right?
Wow.
We have a chronic skills shortage. We don't have enough workers, right?
Yes.
And there was some research done by Tony Blair's Institute for Global Change, and they were saying that up to 6 million jobs in the UK are actually jobs that are highly skilled that can be done remotely. So they are actually worried that these jobs will go overseas. And the areas they're looking at, the areas they said are financial and accounting technicians, pensions and insurance clerks, marketing professionals, software developers, advertising and market research, IT technicians and support, insurance, underwriters, graphic designers, web designers. All these jobs are highly skilled jobs that they reckon probably will be going overseas. Jamaicans could do a lot of those jobs.
So how do we get involved in those markets? Because I mean, I hear it and I'm like, yes, okay, that's good. And maybe I can identify that I have the skill set. So for example, on LinkedIn, as a social worker, I see there are a lot of social work jobs available. There are a lot of researcher jobs available. And I guess through LinkedIn is one way. But what are some other ways that we can tap into this network? So I've identified, I have the right mindset. I've identified my skill sets. I have somewhat of a map, a structured map now using some of the tools that you mentioned earlier. But how do I get an actual job in this market?
Now that's the interesting thing. Are we assuming that you're a person who is already totally upskilled?
Yes. So we're saying that
you're totally upskilled.
Yes.
One thing you have to know is that qualifications are not enough. You have to get work experience. You have to be able to apply what you know. You have to get your testimonials. If it's something visual, you have to have your portfolio to show. So the first thing is you have to be creative enough to get quality work experience that will give you that. That's where the volunteering comes in. You can work with small businesses that are struggling in Jamaica that just need a hand. There are a lot of international organizations also looking for volunteers that you could work with. These are actually on the Future Think toolkit as well.
Okay.
You know, so you have to be creative enough to show that it's not just qualifications, because one of the things we have to remember, and it's a sobering thought for us Caribbean people, because we love qualifications. We love qualifications. But
Yes,
the
we
world
do.
has shifted quite a bit, and skills are the new oil, right? So we have to have a greater focus on skills.
Yeah.
And not that qualifications aren't important, but quite frankly, because knowledge has kind of reduced in value, at the end of the day, Google knows everything.
Yeah.
It's the application of that knowledge that is really valued. So we
Yeah.
have to be creative enough to apply and to be able to evidence that we have the skill set. So that's the first thing. Once you do that and you have your work experience, you have the issue now, it becomes networking. How do you get into the right networks?
Exactly.
I think, to be honest, it starts with being very well networked at home first.
Okay.
And why I say that is because there are a lot of Caribbean people already doing phenomenal things globally. So you have to find people who are doing similar things, but people in the know at home. Learn how to get networked at home. Next thing is to learn how to get networked globally. And usually if you're well networked at home, that will often give you an entree into being well networked globally.
Right.
But that apart, go to every industry event you can. And of course, we have loads of them, right? They're all over the place. There are too many. But when you attend these industry events, remember you could ask questions. Remember that at the end of the event, you could send a LinkedIn message to the speaker and say, I really enjoyed what you said. Can we have a chat sometimes? I would like to know more. How can I get within the best groups? Do you know what I mean? So there are creative ways of you finding out what and where are the best groups for you to network with.
Okay.
Once you get into those groups, be visible and engaged. Blog, give your opinions. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. And so people start to recognize your name and realize that, yes, you have something to say. And coming from Jamaica, you will stand out, because out there in the global marketplace, they really are looking for cognitive diversity in a big way now, and cultural diversity. And we have to remember the emerging markets are driving most of the global economy now. So they really need that diversity. So you stand out. And you have to know then that, say you're in a sort of closed LinkedIn group that you have joined, and you are blogging for a while, you're kind of exchanging views with people. After a while, if you're tracking companies you'd want to work with, you could actually make speculative approaches to those companies. You don't have to wait for jobs to be advertised or anything like that. You just could directly approach those companies. That's how a lot of people are getting opportunities now, and say, I like you, I've been following you, I want to work with you, I have this skill set, I could take you places, let's meet virtually. That's how people are doing it, right? So it means having that same creativity, resourcefulness, initiative, get up and go, that I think defines us as Caribbean people. We demonstrate it online.
Yes, I mean, what you're talking about requires a lot of courage and boldness.
But we do it all the time. Lots of people do it all the time.
Pardon me?
Lots of people do that all the time. It's done. It's the norm here. You know what I mean?
It's, okay.
For people in the know.
Repeat that, please.
For people in the know, it's the norm. A lot of people don't know that you can operate in these ways.
Yeah. Okay. Great. What do you believe are some of, and I mean, it might have come from some of the reports that you've mentioned before. What do you believe are some of those jobs that will be popping up within the next 5 to 10 years, based on how the market is going and the global space is going?
Now, Joanna, I think what I want to tell you there is that I don't think it's possible to say. The top
Ah,
jobs right now didn't exist even, we never heard of them 3-4 years ago. And the jobs
wow.
that will probably exist in 2025 are probably not in existence now. So it's not probably even sensible to hazard a guess. What we do know, and the World Economic Forum is extremely good at this, they have identified the skill set that irrespective of what comes or what happens, we will be empowered to pivot in any direction and adapt and learn
Ah,
very quickly. And that,
okay.
if you look on the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs, you'll see the top 10 solid skills that if we have by 2025, they reckon we'll be okay. But they're all kind of soft skills. They're all sorts of the critical thinking, problem solving, troubleshooting, that sort of thing. And what I want to mention, and it's an important point to get, it's not easy getting jobs and finding your way in the global marketplace as it is now. But the very same skill set that the World Economic Forum has identified as important to get jobs, right? Or to be equipped for jobs. It's the very same skill set we need to find a job. We need the creativity. We need the problem solving. We need the collaboration. We need the good communication skills. We need the leadership. We need the initiative. Everything. So think of trying to find your way as almost like the trial run or the testing ground or the, for the job itself. It's the same skill set that you need for both. Does that make sense?
Yes, it definitely does. And I mean, we're coming to at the end of the show. I mean, this has been really chock full of information and resources and tips and tools. And I'm so happy. I told you that I was right, that you're the right person to set the framework for this show, for the first episode. But before we kind of close, there are two things I would like to ask you. One, if there are any other information that you will want to give our listeners, and then after, what is Future Think? How can we get in contact with you? How can we be a part of what it is that you are doing?
The two things that I would love our listeners to look at. One is the Microsoft, the top 10 skills in demand by Microsoft that they are upskilling people for free because they collaborated with LinkedIn to do this. So we know that their data sets are really rich and they're probably quite accurate, right? So it gives you, and what I like about those, every single one of those top 10 skills can be done remotely, every single one.
Okay.
And the other one is the Google IT certifications.
Okay.
They, there are a couple that are free. Some of them are like $39 per month with Coursera, but people can apply and can get to go for free. If they apply, they can get a sort of bursary. And why I kind of like that for Jamaicans who want to find their way and do something new or create an income source, it's to do things like IT support, the help desk things. They're the things that can be done remotely but could also be done in Jamaica, that companies in Jamaica will also need. And so I think that's a very sensible one to look at. And what I like about that too is that Google promises that if you do their certification, they have a whole employer network of 150 employers who you get fast track to them. So the prospect of getting work experience and jobs, that's greater with them. And then the other thing I wanted to say is I think Caribbeans have a competitive advantage in many respects. And I think we need to be aware of them. We probably don't have enough time to go through all of them, but it's really important to lean into not just your passions and your interests, but to what the Caribbean is globally recognized for its creativity, its art, its culture, because people like the Japanese love everything to do with Jamaica. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You have to lean
Yeah.
into what the Caribbean is recognized for. And
Or
one
identity.
thing, huh?
Or identity and culture, yes.
Yes,
Just
people love
agreeing
it.
with you.
When it
Okay.
comes to things like virtual assistants, personal assistants, customer service, things that require a lot of interaction with people, I think we have a competitive advantage. And all these things that can be done virtually are being done virtually. So there are
Wow.
certain respects where the Caribbean people definitely have a competitive advantage. We have to drill down and lean into that.
Okay. Wow, that's really something to think about. And I mean, I think we know at a basic level, but I don't know if I've really thought about it for us as individuals. But you know that the track stars and people in the music world, that they have a competitive advantage, and we have a basic, I think, understanding that yes, people like us, but I don't know if we've been conscious about using that as we look for job opportunities online and within the global space. So that is very important. And finally, I would love for us to hear about Future Think. What is Future Think? How can we become a part? And how can we contact you if we need to?
Okay, as I said, Future Think has been around for 10 years. What we do, we equip people, communities for lucrative jobs out there and good quality jobs in high growth sectors out there. And we do it one of two ways. We run these, we're like an accelerated learning experience.
Yeah.
So we run these interactive workshops on those very foundational skills that we mentioned at the beginning, the growth mindset, learning how to learn, meeting emotional needs, that's part of learning how to learn, and the sort of critical thinking, all those parts that will allow us to keep reinventing ourselves throughout our working lives. So we do workshops on that. But secondly, and this is what we are very much involved in now in a big way in the UK, is that we set up and nurture and guide these people helping people upskilling hubs, where there are communities of people who provide the kind of mutual support and encouragement and accountability so they could help each other to find their way and upskill together for the new opportunities. So those are the two things that we really do.
Right.
And you can, if our website is www.futurethink.info, and I can be contacted on contact@futurethink.info.
Okay, great, awesome. Thank you so much, Penny, for sharing your knowledge, your resources, and just your tips. I think it's so important. I definitely love just kind of how you've outlined a kind of process for us for, if we've lost a job, some of the things that we can do. And just to kind of recap, one of the things that you said is to ensure that we have the right mindset, that we see this as an opportunity, that even though we've lost our job, that it's now an opportunity for us to do something differently, and that it's important to collaborate. That as we are looking for new opportunities, it's not something that you would advise that we do on our own. And we should no longer necessarily think of it as a competitive space, but more collaborative, where we can recognize our strengths, becoming more self-aware, and figuring out how some of these strengths can fit into opportunities. Then you spoke about the importance of a structured approach, and you gave some resources earlier about ways in which we can try to map out our own career path, our own upskilling path. And then you gave up some tools and some sites that we can look at to also upskill. Oh, and you spoke about the critical skill sets that we would need that could transcend jobs and opportunities, not just for now, but moving forward, going forward, and then speaking about just some of the ways in which and the job opportunities that exist. I think that was just an awesome process, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for being with us. This was awesome, and I just bless you and have an awesome day. Oh, and let me just say hello to the guys. Hello, Erica and Peter Gay. I saw flashes earlier, and Bria and Patsy. I saw Digital Content Queen and Jodie and this. So thank you so much for joining us, guys. It was great. A great first episode. See you next week. Bye.
Thank you. A pleasure to be here. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.